It began like an ordinary morning along the shorelines of Lake Michigan, where waves whispered against the rocks and joggers took their daily routes. But on July 27, 2020, the calm was shattered by a discovery so grotesque that it would leave an entire city reeling. Make sure to hit the subscribe button and like this video to help us bring you more chilling true crime stories. Now let's dive into it. A group of teenagers, filming a lighthearted TikTok video, stumbled upon something unusual beneath a rocky stretch near Alki Beach, Seattle. At first, it looked like a suitcase washed ashore, battered, waterlogged, and half-buried in seaweed. They laughed nervously as one of them pulled out a phone, recording the find. "What if there's money inside?" one joked. But when they pried it open, the stench hit them. It was unmistakable: decay, rot, the unmistakable smell of death. Inside the suitcase was not treasure, but a nightmare. Black garbage bags were stuffed inside, duct taped tightly. Curiosity turned to horror as the teens poked one open. What they saw made them scream and flee. Inside the bag was human remains. The recording continued rolling, and within hours, the footage went viral. The video, once meant to capture a funny seaside discovery, instead immortalized the moment that launched what the media would soon call the suitcase murder. When police arrived, they found not one but multiple suitcases scattered along the waterfront, all containing body parts. The grisly cargo had been dumped into the sea and later carried ashore by the tide. Detectives quickly sealed off the beach, horrified by the thought of what they might uncover. Divers were deployed into the cold waters of Puget Sound, searching for additional evidence. Every discovery raised more questions. Who were the victims? Why were they stuffed into suitcases? And perhaps most chilling, who could do something like this? The remains were badly decomposed, but forensic specialists confirmed they belonged to two individuals, a man and a woman, both dismembered, their identities erased in an act of calculated brutality. This wasn't just murder. It was methodical, cold, personal. Seattle, a city already grappling with rising crime and social unrest, was plunged into fear. The idea that someone was not only capable of killing but also of methodically dismembering and scattering their victims in luggage, it was almost too macabre to comprehend. Local residents described the discovery as something out of a horror film. Parents clutched their children tighter. Joggers abandoned their usual routes near the water. The beach, once a place of laughter, felt poisoned by dread. And then came the rumors. Was this the work of a serial killer? A cartel warning? A deranged loner? The possibilities swirled, each one more disturbing than the last. But police had one undeniable advantage. The world had just watched the crime scene unfold in real time. The TikTok video became evidence, proof of the exact moment the case broke open. For weeks, investigators worked to put names to the dismembered remains. Dental records and DNA testing were painstakingly cross-referenced against missing persons databases. And finally, there was a match. The victims were identified as Jessica Lewis, 35, and Austin Wenner, 27. Jessica was described as warm, nurturing, a caregiver who had spent much of her life helping others. Friends said she had a heart of gold. Austin, though younger, was fiercely protective of her. He was a free spirit, often seen with a guitar slung over his shoulder, but he adored Jessica and her children. They weren't strangers to hardship. Money was always tight, but despite the struggles, they held each other close, bound by love and loyalty. To those who knew them, the idea of their lives ending in such a horrific way was incomprehensible. So who wanted them dead? And why? Detectives dug deep into the couple's lives. At first, theories swirled around drug debts or dangerous acquaintances. But soon, a chilling lead emerged closer to home. Jessica and Austin had been renting a room in a house owned by a man named Michael Lee Dudley, a seemingly ordinary 62-year-old landlord, quiet, reserved, and to most neighbors unremarkable. But inside his home, behind closed doors, a darker story unfolded. According to friends, Jessica and Austin had been struggling to pay rent. Arguments with Dudley grew heated, and neighbors reported hearing shouting matches. Tensions escalated to threats. Dudley, it seemed, wanted them gone. On June 9, 2020, neighbors reported hearing a woman screaming from inside Dudley's house, followed by what they described as gunshots. They didn't know what to make of it at the time, but after the discovery at Alki Beach, those chilling noises took on a new, sinister meaning. Police executed a search warrant on Dudley's home. What they found would shock even the most hardened investigators. Inside Dudley's modest home, traces of blood were discovered. Carpets had been hastily replaced, surfaces scrubbed clean. But beneath the efforts to sanitize, forensic luminol revealed what the naked eye could not hide. There had been violence here, intense, bloody violence. Further digging revealed something darker. Dudley was not just a landlord. He had a history. Arrest records showed a disturbing pattern of aggression, controlling behavior, and even allegations of abuse. Suddenly, a chilling theory crystallized. Jessica and Austin hadn't just been tenants. They had become prisoners in a nightmare orchestrated by the very man who was supposed to provide them shelter. On August 19, 2020, nearly 2 months after the grisly discovery, police moved in. Dudley was arrested and charged with 2 counts of second-degree murder. In court documents, prosecutors alleged that Dudley killed Jessica and Austin following a rent dispute, then dismembered their bodies in an attempt to cover up the crime. The level of brutality was staggering, the kind of violence that left even seasoned detectives shaken. But as the case moved forward, something became clear. The truth of what happened inside that house was far more complex than anyone realized. Prosecutors painted Dudley as a cold, calculating murderer who disposed of his tenants like trash. But Dudley, through his attorneys, denied the charges. He insisted he was innocent, claiming others had access to the house and suggesting he was being framed. The defense argued there was no direct evidence tying him to the dismemberment or the dumping of the suitcases. Yes, there was blood in the house, but was it enough to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he had killed them? Jurors, the public, and even investigators found themselves torn. Could this ordinary-looking man truly have committed something so savage? Or was there another layer to the story, one waiting in the shadows to be uncovered? The more investigators probed, the more unanswered questions surfaced. Who else had been visiting the house during those weeks? Was Dudley acting alone? Or was there someone else helping to orchestrate the crime? And perhaps most chilling of all, if Dudley wasn't guilty, then the real killer might still be out there. For Jessica's family, the pain was unbearable. Her children had lost a mother in the most unimaginable way. Austin's loved ones, too, struggled to comprehend how someone so full of life could be reduced to a headline. Another nameless victim of senseless violence. The viral TikTok video that first broke the case became a double-edged sword. On one hand, it brought justice closer. On the other, it immortalized their loved ones' deaths in a way that felt exploitative, cruel. The internet couldn't stop watching, but for the families, the horror was permanent. Tell me what you think in the comment section below.